Welcome to Game 2 of Round 2 against the Edmonton Oilers, and despite looking pretty bashed up last game, Draisaitl was in the lineup and ready to be an offensive thorn in the side of the Canucks defenders. Now, before I get into what happened, you should know that this game is covered in controversy. Both fan bases are up in arms complaining about the referees, but you know my stance on this. It's the fastest team sport in the world, and because of that, calls will be missed often. My problem is with the system. It makes no sense why they don't have refs sitting in a booth somewhere watching the game on screens. If you don't want missed calls, that's the only way to do it. Anyway, let's get into it. Nikita Zadorov pummeled Corey Perry, JT Miller sent Zach Hyman to the moon, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins got called for tripping, and on the ensuing power play, Elias Pettersson scored his long-awaited first goal of the playoffs to put the Canucks up 1-0. Now, here's our first controversy of the night. Pettersson gets the puck behind the net, and Darnell Nurse sends him flying into the boards headfirst. There was no call on this play, and to make matters worse, after PD got up slowly, Nurse doubled down with an elbow to the back of PD's shoulder, which is not what nurses are supposed to do when someone is hurt. Ridiculous. It looks like boarding to me, but I don't know. That's one missed call for the Canucks. Then, Tyler Myers got called for hooking, and on that ensuing power play, Artie Shilov's made an amazing save off a shot from Connor McDavid. Just beautiful. However, Leon Draisaitl scored a minute later to tie the game, so 1-1. Now, here's our second controversy of the night. While battling for the puck in the defensive zone, Tyler Myers sent Matthias Janmark into the boards head first, and there was no call. But here's the thing with this one. Janmark changed direction as Myers was already lining up for the hit. That could be the reason why it wasn't called, but without an explanation from the refs, I can't be too sure. I'll give this one to Edmonton. I just hope Myers is okay. Shilov's made a great glove save off another shot from McDavid. Now, watch this shift by Pettersson. He skates the puck into the offensive zone, maintains possession despite getting cross-checked by Warren Foegele, sends a beautiful pass right to the tape of Ilya Mikheyev, whose shot gets deflected off the side of the net, but PD sticks with the play, gets the puck back, takes a shot, but couldn't quite roof it short side over Stuart Skinner's right shoulder, grabs the rebound, and draws a penalty. He probably would have scored his second goal of the game on the ensuing power play too if his stick didn't explode out of his hands. This dude is worth every penny of that contract. The Oilers came super close to scoring at the end of the first period, but the puck was rolling and Zach Hyman couldn't get a good enough shot off. But during that play, we got yet another controversy. Zadorov absolutely high-sticked Hyman in front of the net here. You can see it clear as day, but what I find so funny is that Hyman didn't react until after the play was clearly over. So yes, Zadorov should have been called for high-sticking here, but Hyman also should have been called for embellishment. Then, at the top of the second period, Derek Ryan was called for doing one of the scummiest things you can do in the NHL. He speared Nils Big Hog Höglander right in the hog. But Höglander was called too because right before his balls got minced, he interfered with Ryan, so it was 4-on-4. And during that 4-on-4, Brock Besser scored his fifth goal of the playoffs to put the Canucks up 2-1. But 23 seconds later, Matthias Ekholm tied the game back up with his second goal of the playoffs, so 2-2. PD set Hogg up for a shot, but Stuart Skinner stopped it. Then Sam Lafferty had a great chance to score his first of the playoffs, but Skinner made an even greater save. Then check out this defensive play Carson Soucy made. He caught up to McDavid and poked the puck away.
McDavid sucks!
Dakota Joshua plastered Draisaitl. Cole crushed Kulak. Dr. Pettersson almost destroyed Nurse Darnell. Tyler Myers did a great job containing Connor McDavid in the offensive zone, then he sandwiched him into the boards. Then Quinn Hughes deked the balls off Connor McDavid, further solidifying his position as the league's best defenseman. We got some rough stuff. Then the most controversial non-call took place. Connor McDavid high-sticked Quinn Hughes, and Hughes was bleeding, meaning it should have been a 4-minute power play for the Canucks, but the whole thing went uncalled. Listen, I see people online saying that the referees saw this and chose not to call it. No. Watch it again. The Canucks bench didn't even see it happen. There's not a single reaction from Quinn's own teammates. No one on the ice saw it happen, referees included. That's why it wasn't called. For the billionth time, there's no rigging taking place. Please guys, don't be lazy thinkers. Analyze all aspects. This is why there needs to be refs off the ice watching on screens in the same exact way the league already does when it comes to monitoring goals. You know, when the puck goes in but no one sees it happen and then that horn goes off to stop the play? They can do that same thing with penalties too, but they don't because they think it'll slow the game down. At least let the coaches challenge things like this. That would be fine, right? Anyway, that should have been a double minor, so it counts as 2 missed calls. Then, Shilovs and Myers got their wires crossed behind the net, but so did Zach Hyman, so no goal was scored. Then Hyman hit Hughes, and Hughes was feeling it. But then, playoff Zadorov said enough, and did this.
He takes off down that left side. Scores! From an impossible angle! Zadorov
Dude, I screamed so loud when that went in. Zadorov continues to be in full demon mode in these playoffs. That's already his 4th goal, and it's only been 8 games. Also, just seconds before Zadorov scored that goal, the Canucks actually had too many men on the ice, and it wasn't called. So, yeah. 3-2 Canucks. McDavid beat Shilovs, but not the post, and then Shilovs made a great save on Zach Hyman, who was trying to stuff in the rebound. Also, on that same play, the referees missed a cross-check/interference call on Ian Cole. So, yeah. Zadorov blocked a blast from Evan Bouchard, and it looked like it stung for sure, but don't worry, Big Zed's gonna be fine. Then Hughes deked the balls off Foegele, proving again why he's the best defenseman in the world. Then Evander Kane hit Hughes, but when you look a little bit closer, you'll notice that it wasn't actually a hit at all. It was a slew foot, and there should have been a penalty called, but it wasn't. So, yeah.
Fuck me.
And a minute after that happened, this happened.
McDavid holds free, scores! The game is tied!
If you're wondering how Connor McDavid, the best player in the world, got a breakaway, it's because Carson Soucy tried to hit Zach Hyman but missed and ended up taking both himself and Pettersson out of the play. And then, to make matters worse, the speedy McDavid beat Tyler Myers to the puck, and that's how he got the breakaway. Tie game, 3-3. And understandably, the Oilers were pretty amped up after that, but Shilovs made 2 big saves to keep his team in the game. Also, the Oilers were dominating the entire 3rd period. McDavid and Draisaitl took over the game, and if it wasn't for the Canucks' fantastic defensive structure and Shilovs' clutch goaltending, the score could have got pretty ugly. Lafferty hit the crossbar, Myers hit Hyman, Foegele hit Zadorov after the whistle, but Big Zed tried to sell it and flopped to the ice. Should have been called for embellishment, but wasn't. Then, with just minutes remaining in the game, Tyler Myers made an amazing defensive play, saving what likely would have been a goal. 3-3 after 3 periods. But before I show you what happened in overtime, the missed calls, in my opinion, were also tied. 5-5. Obviously, there's no way for us to ever know for sure, but let's for a second imagine what would have happened if all of those penalties were called and each team had 5 more power plays than they actually did. Look, this is silly, but I'm doing it anyways. So far in the playoffs, the Canucks power play scores 15.8% of the time, meaning if those missed calls were actually called, they could have scored 0.79 more goals than they actually ended up with. However, the Oilers power play scores 45.8% of the time, meaning they could have scored 2.29 more goals than they did. Everybody's mad at the refs, and I understand. I mean, I counted 10 missed calls, but in my opinion, if you're a Canucks fan complaining, you probably shouldn't be. Because if the game was called correctly, the Oilers may have won by a score of 5.29 to 3.79. And that's science. Instead, they won in overtime by a score of 4-3, and it's funny because after an entire 3rd period of domination, the goal they ended up scoring was a lucky bounce off the stick of Ian Cole. Anyway, the series is tied 1-1 headed back to Edmonton, and boy, we've got ourselves a series. Canucks fans, there's no need for us to worry. Even the most delusional Canucks fan didn't think that they were going to sweep the Oilers. This is going 6 or 7 games, and it's going to be a blast. Here's what Rick Tocchet said after the game.
Listen, losing overtime, beat them last game, we're in this series. It's going to be we're in this series.
Thanks to these amazing nuckheads who chose to support the channel by clicking the join button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.
You've played playoff games in Edmonton before. Is it something you're kind of excited about, getting into that building and being the building again?
It's fun. They have good fans, die-hard fans. It's pretty much nothing else to do in that city except watching hockey. So I like what they do, and that's why they love their team.